Hello, and welcome to Columbus Local Podcast. I'm Len D'Amico, and this is episode number 93. Columbus Local Podcast, Giants Among Us. There are some killer drummers in this town, and one of them is Bob Klien. Bob, how are you, man?
I am well, Lynn. How are you?
I'm fabulous, and I'm glad you
made it. And I
appreciate
appreciate the kind words.
It's the truth.
Oh.
And you brought Sarah. Sarah, say hello.
Hello.
Are you going to mic up? What are you doing?
No.
She's deciding not to.
Yeah.
So Bob's wife, Sarah's here.
It's past your bedtime.
She's winding down. Bob and I are just getting started, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's kind of what the musicians do. I mean, this is early right now, so.
It's early. It is early, but it's only Tuesday.
Well, gosh. Okay.
We're ramping up, baby.
Yeah.
Speaking of ramping up, Bob Klien is currently drummer for RockHouse.
Yes, I am.
Rock band based out of Columbus, but you guys are playing all over.
Yeah, it's gosh, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, we get to a typical year. I'll just tell you right now. I mean, next year we're going to start off. We start off the year in Knoxville, which it's far enough away that there's a little distance there, and we get to knock the rust off without people around here really. Nobody knows. Nobody has to know. But we play for a lot of people that we've actually met through a connection from Key West from playing down there. So that's how that got started. So we get to kind of start the year off with a bang, doing a Friday and a Saturday night show with them, and that really that's how it gets started. And then we do a lot of just a lot of stuff throughout the state of Ohio. I mean, I think I figured it out this year. Our average drive is about an hour and a half.
Oh, cool.
So, and that's kind of our formula. We go outside the town, so we don't have to play the same places every time. We go and, man, I would suggest it to anybody. Go play a small town where there's nothing going on. But
I'm playing a small town in December. I can't wait. Mount Sterling.
Oh, my God. It's going to be great.
Because
I can guarantee you there's nothing else going on in Mount Sterling that night.
And they're all going to be there, baby. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I really can't. It'll be fun.
It's a blast. And that's part of our formula, and that's what works. So last year we got to go down to Myrtle Beach, obviously Key West for a couple weeks, and Tennessee and Indiana, and man, it's just fun. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky to be doing it. Lucky that I get to do it with these guys.
Absolutely. And before we get into how you hooked up with these cats, the most recent group of shows that you did with RockHouse was in Florida, right? There was some events that you guys were driving.
Indeed, it was.
Take us through that whole deal. Like, how long was it, and what the hell was that all about?
Oh, good Lord, where to start? So, obviously we were in Key West, Florida, playing at the same venue that we've played for a number of years now, called Sloppy Joe's.
And this is the band RockHouse.
This is with RockHouse, and we were down there for 2 weeks. So the first week we played for what is pretty much the biggest week of the year in Key West. It's called Fantasy Fest. Fantasy Fest started, and I couldn't even tell you exactly how many years ago, but it was basically to simplify it, a glorified costume party. It was a dress-up thing where there were different themes on every single day, and there are still different themes on every day down there, but one of them seems to be how naked can you get, and how creative can you get with
imagine.
that. You know what? Before we did it 2 years ago, I couldn't imagine either. Then I saw it, and I believe now. I can tell
for
you.
A week
For
in Florida.
Yeah, for a week. So what we did was we came in and we played Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and Saturday of Fantasy Fest week, and those are basically the biggest days that they have down there. The cool thing for us was that we actually played an early show for those weeks. So we played from 5:30 to 9:30, all of these at Sloppy Joe's, which was actually amazing because we've been playing down there for years, but we had never been off at 9:30. We actually had time to go do something and hang out. Usually it's 2:00 in the morning when we're done, and you got a little bit of wind down time and maybe have a drink, but it's kind of time for bed. So actually it was weird for us to have some time to go out and do things with with
That's pretty cool, though,
Yeah,
man.
it was just amazing.
So what'd you guys do after a show of naked people in front of you?
More naked people. I mean, no, it's crazy. I can't even begin to Now they're not. Well, most of them aren't completely naked. I mean, there's
There are exceptions.
there are exceptions. There's a lot of body paint. But we played our shows, and if you want to see some pictures, just if you want to check out our Facebook site or whatever,
the photos are great. Man.
You'll see the photos of it. They're there. I mean,
just wall to wall crazy. People. Dude, those photos.
It was
are
crazy.
like they painted the energy of just
Yeah. And I had the best seat in the house up there on the drum riser, right? So I saw every bit of that stuff, and I didn't know what to expect the first time we went down there to play that week, and I was a little weirded out by it. But then I got there, and I was like, this is fine. These people are cool. They're just having a good time, and I never saw any problems. I never saw any fights. I never saw any of that stuff. People were just having a good time, and so we played those shows for 4 days in a row, and then after a show we'd get together and have 8, because 5:30 is an awkward time to start a show, so we're starving by the end of the show. So we'd get some food, hang out, have a couple drinks, and then typically went home. I mean, when you're down there for 2 weeks, you got to pace yourself. So we didn't want to blow it the first week we were down there. So at least we were smart enough, I think, to kind of take it easy and pace ourselves a bit. So we, the first week I would say we were pretty good, and then we actually had 3 days off, which was wonderful. I had my wife Sarah was down there with us, and I got to actually hang out and do whatever we wanted, and then
that's sweet.
And then after those 3 days, we started back again on Wednesday, and we played Wednesday all the way through Tuesday, so 7 straight nights, and that was then playing from 10 till like 1:30 in the morning. Longer shows, later shows. But gosh, it's just I'm just thankful we get to do it. It's so much fun. So much fun.
So the first week you guys played the early shows.
Yep.
That was the second week the same, or
the second week. So the first week were early shows. They were like 5:30 to 9:30, and then the second week we were playing the late shows. So we were 10 to like 1:30.
Yeah.
And those were
same crew, same like party.
Yeah,
scene, right?
for the most part. I mean, so the second week, for the most part, Fantasy Fest was over, so those people had gone home. So it's a different week now. It's kind of a transition week. They're getting ready for they've got these big boat races that come in that following week.
Yep.
So it's a totally different clientele that's on the island for that week, but still a big week for them. But we had to work a little bit harder for it that week. I could think of several shows where we didn't have really great crowds to start, but we were able to kind of pull them in. The cool thing about the bar there, and most of the bars down there, they're kind of open. The windows were wide open, the doors are open, and people are looking for something to do. So we kind of take that as it's a challenge,
Oh yeah.
to create some buzz down there while we're there, but for also to try and grab those people that are walking by, and it's fun because I can see it happen. I can see people walk by those doors and they look in and they're like,
"There's a party going."
Well, this is where we need to be, and they come in and so sometimes it might take half of the first set to get them in there, but when we get them, that like
they're staying.
Yeah, they're staying, and that's the challenge,
show,
and that's what's fun. I mean, I really get off on that. I love that that we can somehow manage to bring those people in like that.
You say you're fortunate, and you are.
Sure,
but you bring it, right? Like you personally bring it, but the band is delivering what is necessary for these events.
Yeah,
it's a great time. The set list is magical, and it's a great delivery.
I just have so many thoughts right now. I mean, I can't tell you how much fun it is to play with the guys that I play with. Because they get it, like we're there to put on a show. And, you talked about the set list, and the set list is something, our bassist, Greg Pruitt, he writes up the set list for every show, and it's always different. It's a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that get changed around, and we try and tailor it to the venue. Like we know that certain songs are going to go well over at some places, and they might not go as well at other places. So he puts those together, and we'll roll with them. And if something's not working, we'll switch on the fly. I mean, a lot of times if we know that this stuff is not going to work here, he'll oftentimes turn around to me mid-song and go, and then we'll communicate back and forth on, okay, let's do this instead.
Right.
And then we can, and now it's gotten to the point where he doesn't even have to say what. I know what he's thinking, and I know what he's thinking what we should do next. And so we do that. And that's a challenge to us. Like, we love to, like some of these situations I was telling you about, like in Key West that we were playing where we didn't have great crowds to start. Like, okay, what do we need to do to get there? What do we need to do to bring them in there?
And you're all thinking that, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
thing.
and that's fun.
That's magic.
It is. And
like-mindedness and drive and the same goals and ideology, right?
Yeah, and that's why I love playing with these guys. I mean, they're wonderful friends of mine, and I love them all to death, But there's a magic that happens up there when you get in situations like that where we're not really thinking, we're not thinking about this stuff. I know, and they know that, okay, we need to zig here, we need to zag, we need to, this thing needs to change. This isn't working. We need to go with this, and I already know what he's thinking of changing up to, and and he knows what I'm thinking too, and it's
cool.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. That's magical. That's good connection, and it shows up there, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, where'd you all stay? Like, where's the band stay down there, man? Like, is there anything crazy about? Like, I'm trying to envision. So you're an out-of-town band that comes in.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a story behind how you guys got there through the I'll say Senior.
Yeah.
Doug Blessing.
I will. Yeah,
okay. And let's just pause. Your thoughts there, I'm sure will echo many. And I'll just hearing from you. Working with this guy for how many years?
So it's about 5 years now. Like actually being a member of the band. Yeah. Playing with them actually started a couple years before that, and it actually started with this Key West gig. The former drummer before me just wasn't able to get the time off of work to come down for those couple weeks, and I was fortunate enough to have that. So somebody had actually, Kevin Young, who was a former drummer from Gypsy Kings, he is the one who he recommended me to Doug, and Doug and I sat down and had lunch one day, and he said, "Hey, you want to do it?" And I said, "Sure." So we rehearsed a couple times, and then we flew to Florida and did it.
It's pretty cool.
But yeah, I mean, the way this all got started, as far as I know, the story goes that Doug used to go down there for vacation all the time, and they would hang out, and he would go into Sloppy Joe's, and he would sit there and watch these bands play, and just go, "Damn it, there is no reason that my band can't do this. We could do this. And I'm going to make this happen." So he just, the what's the saying? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. He was the squeaky wheel, and he sent all the, his promo material to them, everything he had, and kept checking in, and constantly until I think probably finally they said, "Fine, let's."
After years,
yeah, after doing this for some time, they finally said, "Okay, just leave us alone. We'll give you a shot." And so they did, and it went well. And then the rest was history after that.
Yeah, relationship is one thing.
Yeah.
But being able to back it up and deliver is another. And that's the step that I think, well, I mean, it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's a huge commitment. But and not everybody's able to prioritize to be able to get to that.
Sure.
So to find a group that is able to do all that and have the skill set, right, that is aligned to the project is huge. And it's awesome, man. Yeah,
and I just, again, I feel like I was in the right place at the right time to where to be able to meet up with these guys and have a couple of initial, sit-ins with them to play, and then eventually, a couple years later, become the full-time drummer in this band. I just really I look at it as being lucky to be able to be connected into a band with people who are really like-minded, that kind of see things the way that I see them. And I look at this isn't just a cover band. This isn't just we're not just it's not just music. It's not just a bar band. Like, this is there's a real
business,
it's absolutely
it's an
a business.
enterprise.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I kind of think it has to be that way. If you want to have the aspirations that we do, you have to look at it this way. But at the same time, also, I don't want it to make it seem like it's all business, because it's not.
No, that's obvious.
we have a lot of fun together, and it's not just playing. Like, I love hanging out with these guys. One of the best things about the trips that we do make is the times hanging out before and after the gigs, and just being stupid dudes, and making fart jokes and that's what we do, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's dude time.
Yeah, it is, and so. We're all very fortunate that we have a better half that allows us to do it. And I'm looking at mine right now. I mean, it's a big ask.
Sarah has a big smiley face.
Yeah,
which is good.
Well, God bless her for that. I mean, I know how lucky I am to have a wife that gets it. That this is something that this is what
it's part of who you are.
It is, and it's what I love to do, and I'm doing it with the guys that I love to do it. So, when you're playing over 60 shows a year and most of them are not really close to home, it's a big ask to be able to be away from home that much and to, to make that sacrifice. And she does, because she knows it's something that I just love. And that's the same with the rest of the guys in the band too.
Yeah, and what's cool too is, I always view those out-of-towners as like little mini vacations, and if the significant other or your wife or, whoever is able to or wants to come with you, it's always a good time to do that.
Yeah.
And in, hour and a half trek, I mean, that's enough to hotel up. And
yeah.
You guys are playing more than one night typically, though, at some of these.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like Sloppy Joe's. And is it fair to say you guys are almost like a go-to band for Sloppy Joe's in...
absolutely. I think I could say that now after
South Florida.
Yeah,
it's Key West, right?
Yeah, Key West. We've really, again, and Len, when we were pre-gaming before, talking, and we were talking about relationships and the importance of relationships, period, and anything, and how important relationships are with the band, and that is just a really, really solid relationship. Not just with the people who are the decision makers at Sloppy Joe's and all that, but with the people that work there. I mean, there are a lot of people that have worked there for a lot of years, and we've known them for all those years that we've been coming down. A lot of the bartenders, and it's not just another place that we go and play. I mean, I genuinely look forward to seeing folks down there, and they, I think, look forward to seeing us come down there, and it's again just something we're really fortunate for.
That's awesome. So your accommodations in typically at Sloppy Joe's, right?
Yeah.
You're playing typically 1 or 2 weeks.
Yep.
Once a year or twice a year?
So it's kind of varied. Typically, we've gone down for 2 separate 1 week residencies, if you want to call it that. The last 2 years have been basically 2 weeks in a row. We've got our dates for next year, and there are going to be 2 separate weeks. One in April, I believe, and one in October.
Mark your spring break plans, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
I'm telling you,
I think Beth and I we're flying down, man.
You will not regret it.
Why wouldn't we do that?
I don't know.
Wayne and Will will come.
I think you're crazy if you don't.
Wayne and Will Owens have been there, haven't they?
They have. They've been down there.
Smiley faces down there.
Gosh,
what jewels they are, Columbus.
Yeah,
right?
They're amazing, and we have so many amazing friends that have come down not only once but multiple times to come down and spend a few days with us down there. And to me, that blows me away. I know it is not cheap to go down there. I know it's not cheap to fly down there. I know it's not cheap to find a room at a hotel or at an Airbnb or whatever down there, and that that people actually want to do.
Can we
that.
all stay with the band?
Sure, knock yourselves out. But
What's that accommodation?
But let me tell you what that's like first before you get real fired up
I
about
can only
that.
imagine.
So the bar owns a building that is literally,
Which we're not complaining.
No,
We're
heck no.
grateful.
Listen, it's free for the band to stay at this place, and if I can stay in Key West for free, I'm all about free. So, but there's a band house that is right around the corner from the bar. I mean, literally, it takes us 3 minutes to walk there, which is really great before and after a gig. Very minimalistic accommodations for a band. I mean, twin beds, you know.
Where are you storing your gear? Like, you have a drum kit, dude. Where's that housed?
So that all stays on the stage. I don't.
Okay,
so
good.
most of the stuff there is backline. So there's a backline drum kit that's already there. Now I'll bring my cymbals down, snare, my bass drum pedals,
100 pairs of sticks.
yeah, a bunch of sticks, throne, because I'm not really crazy about sitting on a throne that 100
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Or
By
just
the way, are you comfortable?
oh yeah, of course,
Okay, 'cause
of
I mean,
course.
I'm always shocked at this tiny chair's comfort.
Oh no. So that's where one of the places I absolutely will not go cheap on is my throne. I mean, it is wonderful. It's hydraulic. It's wonderful, and I bring that with me because I need that over 2 weeks period. I need to have the best that I can get underneath me. But it's also really gross to sit on a seat that a bunch of sweaty people have sat on for I don't know how many years. We've been playing on there, I think, for 6 or 7 years now, something like that. And it's the same throne that was there when we started. So I bring my own. But to get back
Smart
to
move.
get back to the band house accommodations. I mean, it's fine. It's everything we need. But when I bring my wife Sarah down there with me for like if we're there for 2 weeks, she'll typically come down for a week with us, and then I'll rent a place somewhere else.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's fun. We've really gotten to know the island very well, and a lot of people, and not just at the bar, and other places too. So it's pretty special.
And that's just one of 50 plus cool places you guys are hitting, which is cool. I mean, it's a good. So those that are interested, RockHouse. I mean, just and you do play areas in Columbus. You play events in Columbus.
Yeah, we do.
You can
Absolutely.
be caught.
Yeah.
In Columbus, but mini vacations are always a good thing.
They're
to
fun.
follow you guys around.
They're fun, and honestly, for us, it's very important that we still play plenty in Columbus, because this is where our friends are. This is where our family are. And we still need we need to be close to that. We need to, and we recognize that, and we're just lucky that there are places that'll still have us. So here we are in November 19th or so. We've got one scheduled up about 3 weeks from now. We're going to be out the Ugly Mug and Canal Winchester. And we're winding down for the year. We've only got 2 or 3 more shows for the rest of the year, which is a well-needed break. But
Nice.
one of them is here for sure.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Looking forward to all that. You've been playing. How long have you been playing drums?
Oh gosh, long time. So I started when I was 10 years old. So I'm 52 now. Yeah, so 42 years. And I started in the school band in 5th grade. Just playing a snare drum, and worked my way through high school. I did marching band in high school, and I started taking lessons on drum set in like 8th grade, I want to say, and then took lessons all through high school from a fantastic teacher. To this day, as far as drum, I mean, people ask me who my influences are, and there's always, of course, I'm going to say John Bonham.
Yeah,
I'm going to say,
man,
all the Alex Van Halen,
style, man.
Neil Peart, all these guys. I love Stuart Copeland, but honestly, my number one is Jerry Hartman, who was my teacher in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Nice, man. Nice shout out there.
Yeah, Jerry was a metal drummer. Jerry was a serious metal drummer. He was
Is he still with us?
He is, and Jerry played in a band called Lethal. who back in the day, back in the late 80s and it was late 80s, if you remember Hit Parader magazine.
Sure.
So Jerry's band Lethal won a competition in there for the best unsigned band in America. So what that got them was a Warner Brothers contract, a record deal. They got to shoot a video and they got set up. And they toured. I mean, these guys were amazing, but they just never took off in America. They got they had a nice, decent following in Europe, but that was also about the same time a guy named Kurt Cobain and all these guys came around a couple years after that.
Grunged out.
All of it, man. And it killed it.
And it changed overnight, too.
Yeah, yeah. And so Lethal just never, and you Google them, you'll see that there's people today that still, that their big album that they released, they got like 4 of them, I want to say. But the one that they released because of this competition was, it's amazing. I mean, just Google and you'll find a lot.
And it's a Cincinnati-based.
Yeah, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, there's good rocking.
Fantastic
in the era. Yeah,
just fantastic, and they were great. And I, he was the guy. He taught me. Like I played drum set. Well, I took lessons from him for a year, and I sat behind a drum set every time that I took lessons from him. But I wasn't allowed to touch anything other than the snare drum for the first year. We did nothing but work on rudiments, and the only thing I could kind of compare that to is like if you ever saw Karate Kid, and you've got Danielson working on, show me paint the fence and sand the floor and all these things, wax on, wax off. That's what the rudiments were for me. And after about a year of that, I finally said, man, when are we gonna? I want to rock, dude. I want to play some beats. I want to do this stuff. And he said, okay. All right, we're going to do this. You're going to play a paradiddle, but I want you to play these. And we started moving all around the drum kit with the different strokes and different stickings, and I got it. It all just kind of clicked. And from that, I finally understood why he was doing what he did. And he was a young guy with, he wore concert T-shirts all day and ripped up jeans and long curly hair, but he was disciplined, and he was taught by an old jazz dude who did the same thing to him, And so, yeah, he was this cool rocker dude, but he
saw something in you that was inspiring him to spend this time, man.
Yeah, maybe. I
mean, he had other students, but you know that he really was a huge influence.
Oh, he was the biggest influence. Period. I mean, I idolized that guy because I knew how good he was. So I was going to do whatever he told me, period, because he was so good.
Smart, man.
He was so good. As much as I wanted to bitch about things and whatever, I just did it because I knew, like, you just do what he says because he's the guy. He's going to, and so, yeah, that's really how it started for me.
And that was in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And so you played band. You played in band. When did you start playing in bands?
I started playing bands my freshman year in high school. Had a couple of different bands through high school, and then when I got to college, that kind of slowed down for a while.
Well, you moved though, right?
Yeah, I did. I moved up to that's what brought me to Columbus. I went to Ohio State, and back in '91. So I'm
and that
showing my age.
Your jam buddy, closeness, right? When you move cities, you're
starting over, man. Like, and so,
did you play at Ohio State?
No, I did not.
Okay.
There was part of me that actually thought about it. My band director in high school really wanted me to do it, and I chickened out. I didn't want to do it, and it never happened. So it was one of those things that you look back and you go like, what would have happened if I did do that, and but
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Was that in the 80s?
That was 91. I came to Columbus in 91, and there was a lot going on. I had a lot of family stuff going on. My dad passed away. All this stuff.
Life. College.
Yeah, in college and
High Street.
Girls and High Street and trying to, you're just trying to figure it out. So I didn't need to play drums. I wasn't really thinking about it. I didn't really miss it at that point. And then I started to get the itch, and I got some buddies, and we'd jam every now and then. And then, I was involved in some church stuff with some like youth group stuff, an organization called Young Life, and a couple of different churches, and that got me playing again. I would play at events that they did, and then I really started playing on Sunday at one of those big mega box churches, and I did that for a number of years, and which was great because it kept me active playing, but I grew weary of what I was doing up there. It became it was a show, for lack of, and I didn't think
church, baby.
It was church, and for me there was we were there to be leaders and not performers, and
there was too much performance.
Yeah, and there was a hell of a lot of performance going on, and I grew sour of that pretty quickly, and I got out of that, and that's really when we've kind of skipped over a bunch of years here, but that's when the itch really got back that I need to be playing in bands again. So, really,
and you're listening to rock.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And you're getting inspired.
Heck yeah! I mean,
what kind of music was that for you? When you're like, okay, I got to get back into this.
It was all. So I was, always growing up in the '80s. I was. It's appropriate that I'm in the band I'm in now, RockHouse, because I loved all that stuff. Van Halen was it for me. I loved all that. I loved Def Leppard. I loved Motley Crue. I loved all those bands. Journey,
party rock,
all of it. Yeah, it was. That's how I learned how to really, really play. I knew how to play a drum set before I ever sat down behind one, which sounds kind of weird and probably a little bit cocky too.
This means you're a born drummer, dude.
Well, I would watch. That's when MTV started, and that's when videos came out, and I'd watch these guys. I could see it, and
you could feel it, because you knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Most people don't know what the hell the drummer's doing.
Yeah, so I could actually visualize it, and I could see it with my own two eyes, and so I would sit there and air drum all these parts.
And you knew you could do it.
And listen, man, I lived in a house with 3 sisters and a single mom. So I had a lot of downtime when I was a kid. And so I would sit and I would watch MTV and I would try and figure this stuff out. And that's what I did. And literally the first time I ever sat down behind a drum set, it sucked. It was nothing special, but I could play a drum beat because I had watched these guys do it for all these years.
Good for you.
And so that was growing up. And then I got into college and it was 90s. It was 90s rock. So it was all the CD 101 stuff that we all listened to. And I got into that for a while, but I never really got away from the hard rock, and that was my influence. I mean, I always, Iron Maiden, I love that stuff, man. I love sometimes the harder the better. Not a lot of the newer stuff now, but really, really good hard rock and metal. That's who I am.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's
awesome.
Always been that way.
Have you ever listened to Porcupine Tree?
Heck yeah.
Okay, so you like that too.
Yeah.
That's a little modern, but that's very percussive.
It's good. Yeah.
I love that stuff. I like to play bass to that stuff. Because this is like, oh my God, it's very inspiring.
Yeah, that is.
That's a good thing to know that you actually do appreciate that band.
I do. I appreciate good music. I mean, here's an example. I'm going down. So Key West seems to be a theme with me, but. I'm meeting Doug and his wife down in Key West again in January for this. It's called Mile Zero Festival, and it's best described as what Doug has told me and what everything I've read about it. It's like red dirt Americana kind of music.
It's good stuff, man. There is an episode of a guy that is a red dirt player,
really,
from Columbus.
Oh, I love it.
And
I definitely, I've heard almost all these. I need to check that one out.
Chance Dennison, check him out.
Okay,
yeah, it's good stuff. It's a good story too.
That's super cool. I'm not a country guy at all, and I never have been. But I like good music. There's country that I like,
Red dirt's where it's at.
Red dirt is what I've
Americana.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to kind of really get exposed to. I've been listening to some of it. I've been listening to some of it to try and get familiar. But for me, it's all about live music, and so I'm excited to go down to see all these bands play this stuff live, and then I can really wrap my head around it, and I can really feel it, because live music is where it happens.
And you will too. It's very emotional music, But some of it's funny.
And I love
It just
that.
depends.
Yeah, I don't, it just, for me, it just needs to feel good, you know? It doesn't matter if it's hard driving, if it's really groovy, if it's very spiritual, if it's whatever, like, it just needs to feel good.
Yeah,
You know?
emotional
Yeah.
approach
Absolutely.
to consuming music is a. If you're not doing that, I think you're missing out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's what music is. Music needs to feel good, period. And if it doesn't, you're not doing it right.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. That's pretty cool. So you skipped grunge and you stuck with rock, but so in Columbus, then you kind of got back into it. Where did you go then?
So really, when the first band that I really got back into it with was a band called Dolly Dagger, and that's when I
Love Dolly Dagger.
yeah, and that's when we didn't know each other well, but I kind of met you back then, and that was a really fun band. Stacy Spicer was our singer, and boy,
She's a jewel, dude.
she is an absolute jewel, and you talk about a powerhouse. I mean,
Dude.
I saw her just bring
The
rooms
house down.
Yeah,
Every freaking
Yeah.
song.
yeah,
And it's covering Robert Plant.
yeah.
It's covering, I mean, just like the crooners.
Yeah,
And
crazy.
she does it so emotionally.
She kills
And I melt every time she sings.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That was such a fun experience, and gosh, I played with some really great players in that band. I mean, our first guitar player, Jen Wilkinson,
Great guitar player.
great guitar player, female, and I never played with a female lead guitar player before, which I just thought was the coolest thing ever. And you've talked about somebody who could feel it and who could feel music, and
She's
when
inspiring.
yeah,
She really is.
And she put that slide in her, on her finger, and it's just wonderful. Buzz Crisafulli on bass, who, actually I haven't seen him. It's been a couple of years since I've even seen him, but I know that he's still playing with Shadowbox, and
He's a solid player.
he's a fantastic player. Chris Henshaw on keys and some guitar and vocals as well. Just a solid dude, really good player. A guy who, he's one of the guys that I played with over time that I knew that he would always learn his part perfectly. Like he always nailed it. It may take him a little bit of time to get it nailed, but he's one of those guys who played it note for note, and it was always right.
Yeah.
And he was willing to put in the time and the work to do it. And then we also had John Mediator. When Jen left the band, John Mediator took over on guitar. And gosh, what a different player than Jen, but a fantastic player in his own right. I mean, he chops to burn and just a feel guy, which is what we needed. That's how we played, and I loved playing with him. So Dolly Dagger was my first dip back
and
into.
there's some great recordings that are still out there.
Yeah.
That are greght.
Yeah, and they went on.
Are you the drummer on those tracks?
On some of them.
Chris is?
So I played on. I don't know how much they recorded after. I know they recorded some stuff after I left, but we recorded with Danny Boyd. We recorded. I don't know, 8-10 songs. That we would put out. That stuff that we would send around with the promo kit and whatever.
Yeah.
Just to have back then. That was kind of in the earlier days of Facebook, and on all that stuff. But so yeah, I mean, I know there's some other stuff that they recorded after I left. But yeah, that was my first kind of when I dipped my toes back in and got.
Yeah, so
Got the itch
I
again.
showed you some photos of
Yeah.
the gig that you were behind the kit, and I take pictures of the drummer because they always get snubbed.
You know what? You're one of my favorite people in the world for doing that, because the drummer
They get
always
snubbed.
there's always a
the
damn
whole band is there. And there's no sign of a drummer.
yeah. There's always a damn singer or guitar player standing
there's
in the way.
cymbals in the background.
Yeah,
And that's it.
Yeah. I love that, and when you showed me those pictures, I mean, it took me. I remember those shows. I mean, I remember them like they were yesterday. I remember all of them. I mean, they're.
She's memorable, but the players that you played with too are
Absolutely.
just great. They're great dudes.
Yeah, and it's
and Jen too.
oh gosh, they were fantastic. That was so much fun. That was that was me realizing how much I really love to play again. And that kind of ruined me because I knew that, when I left that band because I was going through some life. I was getting married. I was going through some other changes in life, and I needed some time away. And so that's what I did. But the funny thing about that is, I did actually end up joining another band about a year or so after Sarah and I got married, called Breaking Sane, and that was to this day, one of my best friends in the world, Daryl Wolford. Jim Roseberry was in that band. Sean Green was in that band. Originally, a guy named Brian Collette, who was replaced by Tom Kimes. And we were just a hard rock band, and that was a lot of fun. And
I remember that band.
yeah, it was. We had a great time. But then I was in that band for less than a year, and then I ended up taking a transfer with my company and going to Washington D.C. But at that point, I was at the point where I needed to be playing, and we went to D.C. We were there for less than a year, but one of the things that we did do while we were there is we went out and we saw a lot of live music. And I was that asshole drummer who stood there in the corner with his hands, crossed, and this guy sucks. These guys are terrible. What are they doing? What was he thinking when he did that? And she would get so annoyed, and she was absolutely right. She would look at me, she would go, "Why aren't you up there? Why aren't you doing it?"
Right.
Yeah, you could do it if you wanted to. Why don't you get off your ass and fucking go get a gig, And she was right. So fortunately, that stint and actually technically Maryland, it didn't last very long, and we came back home, and I'm trying to remember what was first. I think it was. I started playing with Rico and Dan LaVerse and Simon Hodgkiss.
That's
and,
cool. So you were in Distorted Silence?
I was in Distorted Silence for
that.
and who I don't want to forget people. Matt Stewart was in the band for a while. Matt lives in Florida now. Actually, I was just texting with him the other day. But I was in Distorted Silence for about a year, maybe a year and a half. I don't remember. And that was a lot of fun. We played a lot of shows and kind of all the typical haunts, and. But it got me playing again. I'd been off for about a year, and I always kind of knew in the back of my mind, Daryl was my buddy, and I loved playing with him. Daryl was one of those guys who, he's a gear nut like I am, but he's got fantastic. He's a great player, but he's got fantastic tone, and there's something about his tone that I absolutely just gravitate towards, and I wanted to play with him again.
Yeah.
And when Breaking Sane had broken up, and so he and I were talking about, let's do something, man. Let's put something together. So we did. We put together a band called Circus Fish, and it was Daryl and myself, Tom Kimes from Breaking Sane, and then Joey Grimm from the Brothers Grimm back,
Nice.
Who've been around here. He's a Columbus legend.
Where'd you guys play? Do you remember?
Where did we play?
Yeah,
we played a lot of typical haunts. We were
okay.
A lot of West Side stuff. Daryl was kind of and still is, kind of a West Side legend. So we could get in anywhere that we wanted to play over there. We played downtown a lot. There were some places in the Brewery District that we played. I'm trying to remember. Oh gosh, it's been a while.
Ludlow's.
We did not play Ludlow's.
Really?
Ludlow's. Ludlow's.
I played there a couple times.
That was
like
an
that little
amazing
circle, stage area. Like you played in the middle of the bar, and like the crowd was around.
Oh gosh,
that was Ludlow's.
Was that Ludlow's?
I think so. Pretty sure.
Maybe it was. I'm thinking of Ludlow's.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. No, this definitely wasn't Ludlow's. This was Park Street Tavern. We played in there a lot.
Yeah.
And that was fun, and I don't exactly remember what happened to that. I mean, bands come and go,
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened to that one. But then, so Daryl and I really wanted to put something else back together. So it was again 3 of the same 4. It was Daryl, myself, and Tom Kimes on bass, and we found a guy named Matt Gum, who was actually a drummer. He played with some other bands, and also a fantastic singer. And so we put together a band called Never on Sunday, which was a kind of a funny name. When I was growing up in Cincinnati, there was a bar in a neighborhood called Silverton that was very close to where I grew up, called Never on Sunday. And we just, I was telling Daryl a story one night. We were out drinking, and I was telling him a story one night, and somehow Never on Sunday came up, and we had been racking our brains. Coming up with a good band name is always difficult, you know. And we've been racking our brains, and I'm telling him the story, and I say the words Never on Sunday. He goes, "Wait a minute, stop. What did you just say?" And so that was the name of the band. So we put together Never on Sunday, and I think we played 2 gigs, and then COVID happened.
Oh man!
And and one of those gigs was opening up for RockHouse.
Really?
Yeah.
No, how'd you get that gig?
Doug called me. I had already at that point I had substitute drumming. I'd subbed for them a couple times, and
so he knew you were doing this, and he's like, "Hey, we need an opener."
Yeah, we need an opener, man.
Shit.
It was Valentine's Day right before COVID, and so yeah, a lovely evening in Newark of rocking out with RockHouse and Never on Sunday.
That's kind of a milestone date for me too. I remember that, the Valentine's Day before COVID.
Yeah,
a lot of shit going down.
A lot, man. Little did we know the world was about to end.
St. Patrick's Day was allowed to happen, so everyone could get as much revenue as they could in the service industry, and then they shut the freaking country down.
They said, "You're done."
And then I met Beth.
Yeah, it's like a lot of crazy. Wow. Well, you know what though, that a lot of not good, a lot of horrible things happened during COVID.
But good stuff came out too.
I tell you what,
my life's blessed as a result.
Oh, absolutely. Sarah and I, that was a period of absolute growth for us too. I mean, we were
growth.
Yeah, I mean,
Good for you.
It was just us, the 2 of us, and but it also got me the RockHouse gig full time. So
how'd that happen?
So the everybody kind of COVID affected different people in different ways, and so when things were starting to open up again, and people were figuring out how to get live bands in venues, even if it had to be 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and all the social distancing and all
as acoustic.
Yeah, all of the things, and so RockHouse was out. They had played some, not many, but some outdoor shows and whatever, and every year it's kind of been a tradition that RockHouse does a big Halloween show out at the Ugly Mug out in Canal, and it was finally going to be on after all this stuff, and I got a call. I'll never forget this. It was on a Saturday afternoon during a Buckeye game. I looked down at my phone and it says Doug Blessing on it, and I go,
Why is he calling me?
Why is he calling me now?
Buckeye game.
It's a Buckeye game.
Hey,
I'm watching it.
He's 57 points.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And he goes, "Hey man, we got a show next Friday night or whatever. Friday or Saturday. I remember I think it was Friday. We got a show at the Ugly Mug, and Brian can't do it. Can you fill in?" And I said, "Well,
what's the set
sure,
list?
Yeah."
Did you know all their?
I knew the set list pretty much. I mean, I knew it wasn't
party rock, and you're in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I nailed it by any means, but it wasn't that hard to get up to speed on that. And then he goes, "By the way, do you want the gig?" So I said, "Okay, well," and in my mind I'm going, "Well, hell yes, I want the gig." But I told him, I said, "Yes, I'm in for the Friday night thing. Let me talk to my wife because this is a big commitment, And I looked at her.
It's a lot of shows.
Yeah, it's a lot of shows. I mean, we do over 60 shows this year, and we talked about it, and we decided that it was a good move, something I wanted to do, and something she was on board with. So that was how it started, and here we are.
Yeah, and when was that? 2022-ish, 23-ish?
I'd say
like
21,
years,
22,
right?
something like that, yeah. It was literally when things were starting to open after
200
COVID.
shows later,
Yeah,
you're
probably.
in.
Yeah. It's been, I've actually never even really counted.
Hit us with a road story, man. A RockHouse road story that you can tell.
Okay, let me think here. All right. Well, I'm not going to throw any of them around the bus, but
No,
under the
we
bus.
wouldn't.
But I'll throw myself under the bus. No problem.
You don't even have to do that, man.
This was okay. So when we do go down to Key West, we on a typical when we're going on a 1 week stint. When you play there, you play Wednesday through Tuesday, so it's 7 nights in a row. And we always get down there on Tuesday. We'll get down there Tuesday afternoon. So we've got Tuesday night is kind of our night to go hang out and let loose because we got to work the rest. Every other night we're there, we're working.
So you're going to get into it.
So we're going to get into it. And so, I'm not a big drinker. I don't, I just don't. I don't drink that much. Part of it's I've got a stupid high tolerance for some reason, and it's not economical for me to drink. I can
It's
easily.
just not worth it.
Yeah, it's just not worth it, So
Aging's not for the weak.
yeah, we get to our hotel, and I just, for whatever reason, I decide tonight is the night that it's going to happen, and I'm going to go on this bender. So we're sitting at the pool, and this is like 4 p.m, and I'm looking at my
Your
wife.
wife's
Now, yeah,
laughing at
she's
you. I'm glad she's laughing.
yeah. I'm glad she's laughing too, because so I mean, at a half of in a period of like 2 hours. I think like I had about a half a handle of Tito's and just smashed, absolutely fallen. And so what we typically do is we'll hang out during the afternoon, we'll go get a shower, then we all go out to dinner, and then we go out from there to the bars, watch the bands, whatever. And about I don't know 5 o'clock at the late 5:30 at the latest, I can't move. I'm done for the night. I mean, I just absolutely. And the whole afternoon, I'm just talking, oh, guys, I'm getting drunk tonight, blah, 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 And I did, man. And I got drunk beyond, probably the drunkest I've ever been in my life. And I passed out at 6 o'clock, and she was on her own and had to go, find the rest of the guys and go get dinner. And
Wow.
it was bad.
And you were out.
I was out.
On the couch?
In the bed.
2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And I remember waking up the next morning at like 6, and I'm wide awake by now.
And you had a gig that night.
Yeah. I was fine by that point. I'd slept it off for I don't know how many hours. Just going, man, I blew it. I just blew it. That's the one night that we had to hang out and have a,
You were out.
and I'm out sleeping in a hotel.
Party boy.
Yeah.
He parties hard for a not drinker.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Absolutely nothing. But there's just I want to. I don't want to not mention these guys in my band. I mean, we've talked about Doug, but they, Doug is fantastic. He does a great job with that band. Is a great front man.
Great insights.
Greg Pruitt on bass. Greg, excuse me. Greg and Doug have a really special relationship on stage where there's really great banter that goes on between the two. Most of the songs we kind of go song to song. We don't skip a whole lot, but when we do, that's usually kind of that's Doug's time to kind of get a little bit of a break, and then then Greg steps up to the mic and
people tuning their guitars.
Yeah, stuff like that, and so Greg is really great at that. Greg does a great job of excuse me, of building our set lists and. He's a great player and he's a great friend. I mean, these guys have all.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Excuse me. They've just become great friends. And then Stretch on guitar. He's a tone guy. I love good tone, and Stretch understands tone. And
he's straight in with Marshall's half step, basically. I mean,
Yeah.
You can't beat that shit, man. You
Yeah.
just can't.
And
It's just organic guitar playing.
And it's one of the reasons that we try and play bigger venues. And one thing, because that thing is loud, and I'm really loud. I mean, we had we played this past weekend at a small venue, and I was playing at about a third the volume I normally do, and same thing with him. He's having to really dial that thing back, and it's not easy to do with.
Well, the material you guys are playing, it's high. It's just bam in your face.
But they're just fantastic players, and then Matt Boggs, Bon Piper he's kind of our ace in the hole. Nobody's got a bagpiper. Who's got a bagpiper that comes out? And God bless that guy, because he comes out and he travels all over the place with us for 3 songs a night, you know.
What are his 3 songs?
So the obvious
AC/DC.
Long Way to the Top,
Yeah,
AC/DC,
hell yeah,
and
man.
that just absolutely brings the house
Brings it
down.
down.
We do Shipping Off to Boston, which is amazing. And then we figured out a way. We do Crazy Train with bagpipes.
Oh, bagpipes.
With the bagpipes. That's really cool. And typically for all those songs, he's got a jig that he'll play at the beginning, and I'm just doing 4 on the floor on the kick drum, you know, and he's running a jig, and that's his time. And it's a special thing, and it's a special moment every night when he comes up and does it, because you just don't see it very often. So and it's cool. Again, I always say I had the best seat in the house. I do, and I get to see the eyes light up, you know, when they see. Most people haven't seen a bagpiper play at anything other than a funeral or you know, something like that.
And it's different.
Yeah, yeah. And when he's up there rocking out, you know, it's just
a big
fun.
damn deal.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned those guys, because they're all just, it's special. It really is, and I owe a lot to them. You know, like, and I told a lot of people this, and I know I've told my wife this, but to get to do this, you know, in my late 40s and early 50s, where I feel like I'm capable of making good decisions now, like, it's. Put it this way: if this would have happened when I was 25 years old, I would have made every freaking bad decision there was to make. You know,
along the way.
Yeah, and getting to do it with these guys, and with the level of accountability that we have to each other, we all are good friends with each other. We all know each other's wives and girlfriends or whatever. So there's a level, like I said, a level of accountability that nobody has to worry about. You know, Sarah doesn't have to worry about any of that stupid stuff. The other guys, you know, it's fun.
Yeah, and it's a safe haven.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's safe for all of us. But it's more than just safe. It's a happy place. I mean, that's when we get up on that stage to play. I mean, it's just nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, and you're smiling all the time.
How can I? I mean, like it's fun. Like,
I'm so serious though, man. I'm a pretty relatively serious person. It's hard for me to express myself on my face, but you don't have that problem.
Well, that is a problem though sometimes, because I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and Sarah will tell you. You can look at my.
Oh, I know when you're pissed off about and you're not pissed at a person. You're just pissed off whatever's in your head.
Yeah,
or thinking about it. You're like,
too.
Jesus, man.
Who knows?
You can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, if we're having an issue with sound on stage, if my mix is bad or whatever, like, you'll see it on my face. You'll know, you know. But, you know, that's a very small fraction of the time that we're up there. It's just, the rest of it is just fun, you know. And I can, you know, in the middle of the song, look up at Stretch, and he looks back at me, and he's got a big grin on his face.
Yeah, you know that.
You know, Greg can look back at me, and I'll make a stupid face at him, or I'll reach down and I'll pull up my shirt and rub a nipple, and you know what I mean? Like, just do anything I can to make him laugh in the middle of a song. Just stupid stuff. Like, it's fun. It's just fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's real damn good. Why hickory sticks, man? You gave me a set of your sticks.
Yeah.
I love that. But you know, they're hickory.
Yeah. I think they're the best drumsticks. Period. Hickory. I think hickory is.
Is every drumstick made out of hickory?
No, there's different. For me, if you're smart, you're using hickory. I think they hold up. I think they hold up well. I'm a hard hitter, but interestingly, I don't break a lot of sticks. They kind of whittle down, and you know once they whittle down, the weight changes on them so much. You know, and if you put it on a scale, it's really not that much, but
It's enough.
Any drummer can feel it, yeah, and it just feels different to you. And it's just
so when you whip them out in the crowd,
that's when you get rid of them. Either way,
you pick up another set.
Yeah. Although I don't whip them out in the crowd, I've done that before, and I hit somebody upside the head. And
You poke an eye out.
Yeah, I know.
Damn.
I know better than that now, but those are the ones you give out after the show or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I love Hickory Drumstick. The brand that I use, Excel, is a company that nobody really knows. They're out of Wisconsin, and it's a small mom and pop business, and he makes fantastic sticks, and you know, I get a great deal out of them for, you know, endorsing their product, and I love them. I mean, they work for me, and I've used them for a couple years now, and I don't see any reason to change anything else. I've used all the Pro Marks and Vaders and Vic Firth and all and Regal Tip, and I like these as well as I like any of them, if not better. I mean, they feel right to me, and it also looks really cool to look down and have your brand on.
Hell
You know, see
yeah,
RockHouse
baby.
on the, you know, and their name on the drumstick. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty damn cool with a
I mean,
capital D.
Yeah, I'll take that. So yeah, I've been doing that for a couple years, and I love them. I mean, they're fantastic.
Sweet. Who do you go out to see, Bob? When you're, or is it, you know, that because you could do 60 shows a year ish? That's hard to get out. But do you go out these days?
I do. So I don't get a whole, like what I would call our season, which is basically March through
October,
you know,
football.
Really into this. I mean, it depends, but it's this year it's December. It's going into December. I'll get out probably 3 or 4 times during that period to see different bands. Really, the time for me is basically the first of the year through the beginning of March. So I got January, February to go out and see people, and I love to do that. Some of my favorite bands around here, and this a long time coming. Like, this is back in the '90s. I love the Fabulous Johnson Brothers. I don't know if you've ever seen those
I have
guys
not
live.
seen them live, but
Go see
I
them,
know.
man.
It's
They
an entertaining, but you know,
You
bizarre
talk about just a group
show.
of absolute studs on there. Every one of them are amazing on there, and they're basically
And Aaron out front.
Oh,
it's
Aaron
just
is
like
so good.
writing the book.
yeah, he's so good. He's a great singer. He's a great front man. You know, they're not the band. Like when they first started, when I first got turned on to them, they were an original band, period, and they were playing at places like Chelsea's and on all of, you know, all kinds of places that are gone now, but they were playing their original stuff. They were playing at Old Fields, and I could go into Old Fields and Chelsea's, and the places would be packed, and they're playing their original stuff, and I'm looking at 200 people singing every word all night long of their stuff, and I was just blown away by that. They don't really play their original stuff so much anymore. I did see them like 2 years ago. They did a show down at Natalie's and in Grandview where it was just dedicated to their originals, and they played a bunch of their old stuff, and I was in heaven. I mean, it was because those are songs that at this point there's a lot of people around here that haven't heard them, and they're songs that just need to be heard because they're so good. I mean, those are guys that, man, they should have made it. They should have, you know, I don't know.
They may still.
Yeah, who knows?
You
I mean,
don't
you
know.
know, but they were fantastic. They're one of my favorites to listen to.
That's
And
good to
then
hear.
all, you know, all the cover bands that are doing what we do. I love going out and seeing Clubber Lang and all those guys. You like, they're just, there's a lot, you know, I love seeing anything that Prudog and Martellino and those guys are in. Hot Lucy, you know, those guys are such great players and good dudes, man.
My God,
I mean,
yeah, it's just pure channeling rock.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
seeing them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really great bands, a lot of really great players in this town. So literally any given weekend, you know this, there's a good show somewhere.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, there's a great show. So that's my time is basically January and February to really get out and see, you know, who's
So
hot,
cool.
and what's going on. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, and a plethora of diverse genres
Totally.
too. You know, it's good. It's really good. Well, I mean, what do you want to part with here, Mister? What's on your mind?
You know, I think we've pretty much tackled a lot.
It's a really cool story, Bob. It really is.
Yeah,
Man.
thanks, man. It's
You worked hard. And you're still working hard, and you're having fun.
Man, I listen. One thing I know this: I will do this until I cannot do it anymore. Period. that's one thing that the last 4 or 5 years of my life have taught me. If one of these days, if RockHouse fizzles out, because bands fizzle out, things happen. Who knows? I can tell you this right now. I want to either be in a band or start a yacht rock band and go out and do cool stuff if it's something completely different than what I'm doing right now, I don't care. I love good music, and right now, that's what I listen to in my car. I'm listening to people think I'm jamming. I'm listening to Kenny Loggins and Christopher Cross jamming out, going down 71.
Clever Lang plays those tunes.
I know it. Ride Like the Wind, right?
Yeah,
I heard him play that, and it
yeah.
freaking rocked.
I
Yeah,
know.
Oh, so good.
But it's cool what they do.
Yeah, I love that they have that they've got the balls to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not easy to take a song like that and just make it absolutely just rock, and they do it. They're great at. Those guys are such great players, and they know how to make it feel like it needs to feel, and they know how to make it. So much of what we do in cover bands, and if you're smart about it, you need to play stuff that people want to hear, that venues want to hear, that are going to sell drinks, that are going to keep people on the dance floor, all that stuff. And to be able to take a song like that they do, and they could do that with those kind of songs, I just think that's super cool. I got mad respect for that.
You'll be doing that one day.
One of these days, man.
One day.
But I'm in no hurry. You
can adjust, but only when you need to adjust.
Yeah.
In the meantime, keep riding the wave.
You got it.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Love it. All right, man. Episode 93. I think it's a wrap.
Wow.
That was good stuff. That's
That
a
was
great
fun,
story, man.
Thank you so much for having me on here. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate
Good,
it.
man. It's good. Yeah, I loved chatting with you and learning more about you and about what you're doing, and I think you'll be doing it a long time, man.
I think so. You know what I do? You asked me if I wanted to end it with something. I do. I've got one thing that I want to say, and this is really just directly to you, Len.
Oh, stop.
So I've been listening to these shows. These shows have been perfect for me on our road trips because the length of them is right about. So I've listened to almost all of these, and I just, the coolest thing for me is I've seen a lot of the people that you've had on your show on the podcast, and I've seen a lot of them play live, but I didn't really know a lot of them. I knew a decent amount of them, but and I'm not saying that I know them now, but I know something about them
right
now, and I love the fact that I can know a little bit about the story behind, by Biggie Young, and behind Lars, and behind, Chatfield, and for all these guys. There are so many people in this town who have these amazing stories.
I know, brother. That's the thing.
And it's super cool to learn a little bit more about the individual and what got them to where they're at, what they had to go through, and, where they had to bob and weave, and where they had to make tough decisions and all that stuff. For me, that's the coolest part about your show is really learning about the people behind, behind the microphone, behind this whatever,
behind the kit.
Yeah, it's that to me has just been a lot of fun, and I thank you for doing it because
it's all good, man.
I'm glad that you
had the
idea.
It's a passion. I mean, it's something I've been doing for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like going out to see Stacy and she's got a new drummer. Who's this dude?
Who's this schmuck?
There's some angry guy back there pounding away,
playing way too loud in this little place.
It was good stuff. But over time though, to your point, you realize the stories and the trials and tribulations, and we're all going through all that all the time, and then we're balancing it with the priorities of life.
Yeah.
And trying to be a good partner and a good dad, a good husband, whatever it may be.
Period.
Good human being. And music keeps pulling us out there on the weekends and doing the stuff that we do, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's in there.
I suppose
and
you're right.
Even when you think you're not really, you can adjust.
Yeah.
And you can still do it. Just there's something out there for everyone.
Sure.
In every situation.
Yeah.
You just got to keep kicking the tires. It's a good town to do that in.
Yeah, it really is. Really is.
Thank you for keep doing what you're doing, man.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Keep rolling. And you too, Sarah. It's great to have the support, and hopefully you're having a good time. Are you having a good time when you do choose to go out there? And
I do, yeah.
that's it. That's an affirmative.
It's super cool. She probably goes to, I don't know, I'm guessing once every 4 or 5 shows, which is a lot. I mean, we play a lot, but I love looking out there and seeing her there, and
sure.
And seeing her having a good time. And it's not just the guys in the band. We have kind of a band family. There's this whole group of people that extended family and whatever that
awesome.
She's gotten to know just as well as I have. Some of them a lot better. And it's cool. It's nice knowing that you can show up any night and there's going to be people there that you want to be with.
Oh, hell yes.
So, yeah.
You're fortunate, but
I know.
But you earned it,
I know.
mister. You earned it. You got the skills and you got the drive and you have the like-mindedness of that particular band. And, I know you'll ride that wave as long as you can.
You bet.
So hopefully that's going to keep going a long time.
I'll be here as long as I can.
That's cool. You too, Sarah. Yep, it was great meeting you. It was great meeting you for sure. And good seeing you again, Bob. Absolutely.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
Episode 93, Columbus Local Podcast. Bob Klien, drummer for RockHouse. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.